In 6.7, we will talk about word problems. A lot of people are afraid of word problems, but they're really about its world problems. Your whole life is one big fat word problem. So this shouldn't be too scary, but I know they are. It will be helpful if you print the 6.7 worksheet. That's what I will be referring to here. Number 1. The perimeter of the quadrilateral is 70. P equals 70 inches. Find the lengths of the sides. One side is x plus 2. Another side is 2x plus 1. A third side, x squared minus 3x. And the fourth side, x minus 5. Now to find perimeter, we add all of the sides. And it tells us that all of these sides are equal to 70 inches. We want to combine like terms. It helps me to color code or circle or underline as I go the things that are alike so that I don't miss anything. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. Plus 1 plus 1x. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 minus 5, negative 2. Remember, we saw in our last session that to solve this, I need my equation to be equal to 0. So what I want to do here is I want to subtract 70 from both sides. Factor to solve the equation. We need two numbers that multiply to give 72, that will subtract to give us 1. Set them equal to 0. And we have two answers. But we're talking about a real quadrilateral, and so we don't measure in negative numbers. So we won't be using this answer. We will use this answer. But we're not done. All we have done is find the x. Now we have to plug it into our sides. So we had x plus 2, 8 plus 2 equals 10 inches. 2x plus 1 equals 2 times 8 plus 1 equals 16 plus 1, 17. We had x squared minus 3x. So this is 8 squared minus 3 times 8, 64 minus 24, 40 inches. And the last one was x minus 5. 8 minus 5 gives us 3 inches. So you'll have 4 answers. Then we want to check this. 10, 17, 40, and 3. Add it all up and see if it works. That's 10. 4, 5, 6, 7. And it does work. Number 2. This video may get a little long because we are going to do 8 word problems. So it may be that you want to fast forward through anything that looks fairly easy It might be that you just want to pay attention to the very beginning where I set it up. It's all up to you how much of this video you want to watch. Number 2, the width of a rectangle is 6 kilometers less than twice its length. If the area is 108 square kilometers, find the dimensions of the rectangle. We want to remember that area is length times width, or base times height. They tell us that the area is 8. No, 108, not just 8. 108 square kilometers. They also mention the length and the width, but they talk about those in relationship to each other. It says the width equals 6 kilometers less than twice the length. All I did was translate here. And the length will be L. So now we have all our basic information. We want to remember that we're going to use this formula. We know the area. We know the length is L. And we know the width is 2L minus 6. Now we want to multiply. So 2L squared minus 6L. We want to solve this, so we need this to be 0 and bring that 108 over. Notice 2, 6, and 108 are all even, so we will factor out the 2. We will take and factor. 1's going to be negative, 1 will be positive. 6 and 9 will give us 54. The 9 will go here, the 6 here. When we set these equal to 0, again, we want to remember a negative number in a real life word problem, it's not going to work. So that means our length is 9. We need to find the width. The width is 2 times the length minus 6. And we're saying the length is 9. So 18 minus 6 is going to give us 12. That doesn't look very good. Our width equals 12. Check it. 108 equals length times width. When you do the math, this should equal 108. All right, let's look at number 3. The sum of a number and its square is 42. So the number we're going to use x. So we're going to add, it says the sum of a number and its square equals 42. Want to rearrange this and bring our 42 over. And we want to factor. That multiplies to give me negative 42, and it combines to give me a positive 1. Set the factors equal to 0. And here, because they're asking for the numbers, we will keep both of our answers. Only when we're measuring something, a triangle or a quadrilateral, will we just use the positive number. Number 4. The product of two consecutive room numbers is 420. What are the numbers? For consecutive, we need to remember a couple of things. The first number is always x. The second would be x plus 1. The third would be x plus 2. Fourth would be x plus 3, and so forth. If we have even or odds, then our first number is x, but our second number is x plus 2, because an even number or an odd number, they are 2 apart. Our third number would be x plus 4, our fourth x plus 6, and etc. So you want to keep all of this in mind if you haven't worked with consecutive numbers before. If you looked at an example, if I took a number, let's say 16, the next consecutive number would be 16 plus 1, which would be 17, 16 plus 2, 16 plus 3, etc. If I have an even number of 16 and I want them to be even, 16 plus 2, 16 plus 4, 16 plus 6, and it keeps going. If I had an odd number, let's say 5, I still will be 2 apart. 5 plus 2, 5 plus 4, 5 plus 6. So just keep all of this information in mind for consecutive, whenever you're being asked about consecutive information. The product, that means we're going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply the first and the second numbers to get 420. The first number was x. The second was x plus 1. When we finish this out, we see that we're going to get, again, 2 numbers. But typically, when you walk down the hallway or drive down the street, the doors to offices or house numbers are in positive numbers. So that's why this will not be our answer. The room numbers are 20 and 21. They are consecutive, and when I multiply those, I get the 420. Well, this video is going a little bit faster than I thought it would. It takes us quite a bit of time in class to do these. I'm not moving quite as fast in our class. For number 5, it will be very helpful if you draw a picture. Anytime you have a word problem and you can draw a picture, it is very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my little building. And just go ahead and shade it in a little bit. This is my building. And we have a ladder. So let's make the ladder blue. A ladder. And then we talk about the distance between the ladder and the building. So you can see here I've created a triangle. A ladder is leaning against a building so that the distance from the ground to the top of the ladder is 4 feet less than the length of the ladder. So we're not talking about here, we're talking about here. So when I started out, I'm thinking it says the bottom of the ladder to the top of to the building, but it's not talking here, it's talking here. So let's start that again. From the ground to the top of the ladder is 4 feet less than the length of the ladder. So I'm going to call the ladder X. Find the length of the ladder if the distance from the bottom of the ladder to the building is 12 feet. And they told us this was 4 feet less than the ladder. Now the other thing we need to use here is the Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In a triangle, this is always the c across from that square corner. This can be a or b, this could be b or a. I'm just going to go ahead and do it like that, and then we will go ahead and start filling in our information. So I'm going to keep my here. All right, so a 12 squared plus b squared equals c squared. This x minus 4 squared means I have to do this, multiply it twice. When I move that x squared over, when I subtract it here, it gets subtracted there also. I'm going to go ahead and combine my numbers here. Let's factor out that GCF of the -8. But this won't be positive, will it? Two negatives make a positive, so this will be negative. Set this equal to 0. X equals a positive 20. Then always check and see if you've answered the question that they asked. It says find the length of the ladder, and that X was the ladder. So the length of the ladder is 20 feet. Checking it, you've got A equaled 12, B is 20 minus 4, which is 16, and C is 20. So do the Pythagorean theorem. 12 squared plus 16 squared equals 20 squared. This is 144, 256, 400. Add that together, that's 10, 10, that's 400. So it works. Okay, let's go to number 6. Remember, as we do these videos, anytime you need to pause because I'm going too fast, feel free. Or if you come across something that's easy for you, feel free to fast forward through that also. Number 6, if the sides of a square are increased by 2 meters, the area becomes 81 square meters. Find the length of a side of the original square. So we have a square. The sides are going to be increased by 2. Area will multiply. Area is side squared when you're talking about a square, or length times width, however you want to remember to do it. So I'm going to have x plus 2, that's the one side, and x plus 2 is the other, so I'm squaring it, equals 81, that's the area that they said, meters squared. $77, the first thing that pops to mind is 11 and 7. And those are 4 apart, so that's great. When I put this equal to 0, I get a negative 11. Put that equal to 0, I get a positive 7. So that was my original. 7 plus 2 gives me 9. 9 times 9 is 81. Number 7. One leg of a right triangle is 14 inches longer than the smaller leg. So let's go ahead and draw us a triangle. One leg is 14 inches longer than the smaller leg. They're comparing the long leg to the small one, so we're going to say this is x, and this is x plus 14. The hypotenuse is 16 inches longer than the smallest leg. Find the lengths. Again, we're going to use that Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to have x squared plus x plus 14, and all of that is squared, equals 16 plus x, and all of that is squared. Remember, I will write this twice, x plus 14 times x plus 14. Same thing here, 16 plus x and 16 plus x. Now we need to get it all together on the same side, setting it equal to 0. One of these are going to cancel. So I'll be left with x squared. I'll put the x's together, but remember I'm subtracting this one. So this is going to be minus 32x. So that will give me a minus 4x when I combine it with the 28x. And then I'm also going to subtract the 256. So 256 minus the 196, and it's going to be negative. Now I need to factor. One's plus, one is minus. 60, and the difference is 4. So let's see, let's do 10 and 6. X equals negative 6, x equals 10. Remember, we're talking about a real triangle, so 10 is my x. So one side is 10, Another is 10 plus 14. Another is 16 plus 10. And all of these are going to be in number 7, let's see, inches. Inches, inches, inches. Very good. Number 8. A triangle is 4 centimeters wider than it is tall. The area is 70 centimeters squared. Find the length of the base. So a triangle is 4 centimeters wider than it is tall. So it says it's wider than it is tall. And so we've got x plus 4 and x. We want to remember that area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. And we know here that the area is 70. So let's use our equation, our formula, and the information we have here to set up our equation. So our area is 70. The base is x plus 4. The height is x. And we're going to divide all of that by 2. Now to start this, the easiest way to get rid of this 2 is to multiply both sides by the 2. That way it cancels here. So now we'll have 140 equals x squared plus 4x. Move the 140 over, change sides, change signs, and factor. 140 and 4 apart. Let's see, let's do plus 14 minus 10. This one will be negative 14. This will be positive 10. Now x equals 10, but that doesn't answer my question. The question says find the width, the length of the base, and they've already said it's this x plus 4. So the base equals 10 plus 4, which is 14. And let's go ahead and put our measurements. Centimeters. Now it's not squared because area is squared. We're just looking at the length, so just centimeters. Okay, well that video didn't take as long as I thought it would, but you will probably need to pause it quite often. Like I said earlier, we spend a whole class period on this. We take our time to make sure everybody's understanding and following along, and so you're free to handle this video however you need to do it to do the work. Good luck.